All right, Lookout Mountain, Golden, Colorado. Let's take a pleasure cruise down the hill, and on the way down, I'll share some thoughts about this 2015 Indian Roadmaster. All right, passing Buffalo Bill Museum and Grave on our left. Pretty great place to visit if you've never been. I'm just gonna let this video go pretty much unedited so you can hopefully get a nice view. It is just about sunset time up here on Lookout Mountain, and it's awfully pretty up here. You know, when you start getting close to sunset and twilight. The only thing is, on my way up, I did already see quite a few different herd, some small families of deer, so we'll keep an eye out for those on the way back down. They're already out. Yeah, hopefully you'll get a good view of Golden Gate Canyon, and we'll be taking quite a few twisties in both directions. And then going to head down the hill, go to the main Coor's Brewing. There's a great old school, fantastic, kind of an independent burger joint, pretty much right across the street from the brewery. They do it up really good. So go meet some friends down there. And yeah, so just a couple of points of reference. I am 6 feet tall, 215 pounds, and spoiler alert, the Indian Chieftain and the Indian Roadmaster, pretty much everything I say for the Roadmaster is going to be relevant to the Indian Chieftain from 2015 as well, simply because really they're both, I own both, and they're awfully similar. The primary difference being with the Chieftain, you're going to be a little bit more agile and flickable, but really just use that interchangeably. Everything from the Roadmaster applies to the Chieftain, I feel, because I do own both and I do ride both. Yeah, so points of reference. I'm a pretty big fan of the old classic Honda Valkyries. I've got a small collection of those in different configurations. I also have the 2014 and 15 Valkyrie. That's quite a different thing. That one I like to use for knifing my way through the city traffic on I-70 around Denver. That one's pretty much like velvet on a guided missile. It's a little bit more torquey and a little bit more raw than the old classic Valkyries. I like the Honda F6B, big fan of that one. And then of course, as far as HD goes, I really feel like Harley came into their own and really started getting a lot of things right and great. 2014, 2015 Project Rushmore bikes. And I really like my Ultra Limited, but as far as this Indian Roadmaster, it's a whole other thing. These are two very different experiences. It's just unique unto itself, and I mean that in a very good way. So as far as Twisties, we're going to be taking quite a few Twisties in both directions here, and I got to tell you, this is a big, beautiful girl, but she's got moves, and I mean, she's got all the right moves. These Indian Roadmasters, man, the handling is just beautiful. And while it may not steer itself the way that a Valkyrie or a Goldwing does, it's certainly it's one of those things where you have to just kind of settle in and spend a few weeks with the bike, and then you really start to appreciate the handling and the capabilities on this. As far as suspension, I have to say that the Indian Roadmaster I would put at top of class, top of category, hands down, just no question. This is about as plush as it gets. I do have another video that pretty much focuses on the heat management. The Chieftain and the Roadmaster from 2015, they can run pretty hot. So, that's something to keep in mind. You can just watch my other video, it's a couple minutes long. Get yourself some double-sided reflective barrier, which is basically like the shiny insulation, and get that under your seat. Some of the Indian, the Thunderstroke 111 vents pretty much straight into your seat foam. So you can watch my video on that one. That's all I'm going to say about the heat. Totally manageable. I've got the reflective barrier under my Alaska sheepskin butt pad, and I'm riding really comfortably on 92, 94 degree days, but we don't really have humidity here in Colorado. It's the high desert. So, great suspension. Really soaks up bumps. I just have no complaints, and I have to say I do like this ride quality a little bit better than my Coor F6B. So, a couple of deer here off to the right side of the road. Yeah, they didn't jump out in front of me, so that's good. So fantastic suspension. As far as another point of reference, I'm definitely an old school retro guy. I really love the design and the architecture and pretty much everything from that World War II era. Everything from Art Deco in the 1930s through World War II. I just feel that they really built things to last 2 or 3 lifetimes back then. I loved the designs. A lot of thought was put into everything, and everything was pretty much overbuilt. And you just kind of, you get that sense with the 2015 Indian Roadmaster. It's a beautifully overbuilt machine, but in a good way. It's not clunky, it's not bulky, although I would not recommend the Roadmaster for a first-time rider or a beginner where this is going to be your first bike. I just don't think that's a good idea. Maybe if you've been on, your first motorcycle, a smaller displacement, maybe the Chieftain might be manageable, but the Roadmaster, it just really is not for beginners. So there's that. As far as styling, I love the full valence front fender. I just love that old Art Deco wraparound kind of style to it, and I'm just I'm just maybe in the minority. I've felt that way about a lot of things. If you put a super expensive high-end black plastic home theater stereo receiver in front of me, or a classic old silver-faced Pioneer or Sansui or Marantz from the 70s, I will go with the vintage piece every single time just because of the attractive styling. And that's just my jam. I like retro old school, and I'm not a big fan of contemporary. So I don't want my motorcycle to look like I'm riding onto the set of Sons of Anarchy. It's just not my thing. That contemporary style. I like vintage. I like retro, throwback, and old school. So, having said that, the styling on this really works well for me. When you're riding an Indian, you're gonna have friendly people stop and visit with you. They're gonna compliment the bike pretty frequently. So there's that. The Thunderstroke 111, and it's a great visceral experience. It's a thumper, but not to the point of being annoying. I don't really enjoy riding around the city too much anymore. I try to get out into the country, scenic byways, and mountain canyon roads as quickly as possible. Try to get away from the super slab, big Denver interstate areas. Too many four-wheelers just driving and texting, not paying attention, whipping over 3 lanes. Just all of those things that motorcyclists have to be vigilant about. So, handling is superb. Suspension is superb. Styling is amazing, in my opinion. I love my Ultra Limited. That's also a really great visceral experience. But, they're uniquely different from each other. And, I have no complaints about this engine. I know the engine heat can be a little bit hard for those guys who are riding in Texas or Florida, but, check out my other video. Seriously think about just spend the $12 at your local hardware store, get yourself some reflective barrier, put it under your seat pad or under your seat pan. You'll have the whole job done in about 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes if you really want to go crazy and just plug everything up. But other than that, you should be good. Reliability. So, boy, I just haven't had any issues. I use the windshield pretty frequently when I'm riding in a little bit more of an urban type of environment. I'll have that windshield down, and pretty much anything 45 miles per hour or above, I will raise that windshield up. And man, I have to say, the Indian Roadmaster, as far as wind buffeting, it is superb. Really, you're in a beautiful warm cocoon. You just don't get much helmet vibration, and keep in mind we get some pretty wicked canyon crosswinds. The Rocky Mountains can be pretty unforgiving with wind shear, crosswinds, extreme gusts, and I have to say that even in pretty extreme conditions, deep in the Rockies, the Indian Roadmaster has just performed so beautifully. It really has surpassed so many of my expectations. So yeah, if you get the chance, I think definitely I like this sort of earlier generation. I think that Indian has only improved and gotten better and better every year. But I like the earlier ones just because of that little bit more of an Art Deco retro styling. So that's my jam. But I think you can't really go wrong, especially on the used market. Man, awfully nice. And the heated seat for the rider and passenger. You know, I got to tell you, my wife absolutely loves riding on this thing. You know, the curved ergonomic backrest is pretty wonderful. Really nice for touring. We do multi-state tours. Heated seats are great. Heated grips are killer. I really, very rarely need to turn the heated grips above 4, and they crank up all the way to 10. And I mean, you're talking Blastoso when you get to 6 or 7. Man, those things are nice and toasty. So that's a bonus. All the creature comforts, the huge floorboards. You know, it's just got everything. And that's really one of my favorite things about the Indian Roadmaster and the Indian Chieftain is I kind of feel like when you're spending, you know, walking into a dealership anyways, 22, 25, 30, 33 grand, that bike had better tick all of the boxes. You know, I'm frugal, and I figure when a guy spends $24,000 on a motorcycle, that thing needs to have everything and tick all of your boxes. You should not have to drop 25 or 30 grand on a motorcycle and then a few months later drop another 1,500 or 2,500 or 4 grand into a stage 1 this or a stage 2 that. That's absurd and that's ridiculous. Really, for 25 grand, that motorcycle should tick all of your boxes. It should have all of the creature comforts. It should be overbuilt, and you know, hopefully R&D and the engineers and production all played nicely with each other, and you know, hopefully no corners were cut, and they really were mindful about being a rider and putting everything into it that you could possibly want. And the Roadmaster has everything I could ever ask for. I love the huge floorboards. You know, so I'm, like I said, I'm 6 feet tall, and you know, I could see how a taller guy might want to maybe have a seat that pulls them back from the handlebars a little bit more, but you know, that's pretty easily doable. You know, you could certainly go with a custom seat, or you could possibly just think about changing out your bars and controls. But overall, just as far as comfort, I've got to really give this a 9.5 on the comfort scale. Suspension, definitely, it's a 10, and I feel it's class leading, top of category. Styling, definitely have to go with the 9, just because I'm a retro, old school guy. So, you know, this style appeals to me. The Thunderstroke 111, man, amazing, just superb, amazing. Rumbles, thunders, you know, just ticks all the boxes of what you want for a really great American air-cooled V-twin. Yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed the ride down Lookout Mountain. You know, I'll probably make a couple more videos. I'll head deeper into the Rockies and the canyons. I'll really just get out of Dodge and do some scenic byways and maybe start filming some of those. That's really everything I can think of. Reliability with this 2015 Indian Roadmaster, just fantastic. You know, definitely. I've not had any issues. I use the electronic adjustable windshield. Controls have all been great to me. Thunderstroke 111 has been amazing. Really, the only thing I've done to this Roadmaster is you may have noticed at startup I've got a pretty sweet pair of Vance & Hines pipes on this. That's really about it. This has plenty of power, plenty of torque, and this throws me back just fine when I get on that throttle and Twisted. So you know, I just don't feel the need to do anything to this amazing Thunderstroke 111. So yeah, mechanically been great. Indian obviously put a lot of thought into this machine, and I just think they really knocked it out of the park. So as you can see, we're pulling up to the Coors Brewing. I'm gonna call it a day here and go meet some friends for a cold one and a burger. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.